Alright guys, here we are, 2002 Dodge Dakota. We're going to be doing the, if you look in there, let's see it. You got a leaking axle seal, or CV shaft seal, whatever you want to call it. Leaving nice puddles on the driveway. So we're going to go ahead and change that. First thing you got to do is take the tire off. Then we're going to get the rotor caliper off, and then we'll probably take the steering knuckle off, which is probably going to be the easiest way, and then pop out the axle and change the seal. Take the caliper off. We're going to undo this bolt here, and actually, sorry, we're going to undo this bolt back in here, this bolt under here, same size. Once you get that off, the whole caliper will slide off of the knuckle. And there's a bolt here for the upper ball joint, a bolt here for the lower. Don't know if we'll have to take off the tie rod end yet. We'll see. So I'll show you how to do that once I get there. Okay guys, so after you undo those two bolts for the caliper will come back. And then you can support it. I just got a coat hanger supporting it. And I chose to undo these three bolts for the upper ball joint instead of messing around with the boot there. Yes, my upper ball joint looks like a sieve, but I keep it greased pretty good. Right now I'm just trying to get undone the lower ball joint. Usually you can just smack it right here and it comes undone. This one's being a bit of a bear, so I just threw some lubricant on it, sprayed it up in there to see if I can get it undone. Other than that, you got to undo this bolt here for the axle, 32 mil, and there's a cotter pin on it. You got to get loose first. So once that's all out, I should be able to pop the axle out. I should be able to swing this all back, and then we'll work on getting the axle out. Alright guys, so we got the the front CV shaft out. Now, this shaft usually separates here from this shaft. This shaft usually is in that right side diff. And unfortunately, what happens is that when you get a lot of rust, this CV shaft will actually rust right to the axle shaft, and it's not coming off. I mean, it took me a good probably hour or so of pounding and then turning the wheel, pounding, turning the wheel, and eventually it actually came loose on the inner. And that's the little clip that has to kind of pop free. There's another one inside of here, but because of all the rust, it ends up usually popping free here. So that's out, and basically what you do is you hit it right here with a hammer and chisel, bang bang like this. Then I'd spin the opposite wheel, hit the next one, hit the next one, hit this one, hit this one. Just keep spinning it and hitting it with a chisel and a hammer until finally it pops free. Then basically I just take a pry bar, and the seal would be right here, and I got one of these indexed pry bars, and then just pop it out. Just get it up in there and then pop it right out. Now if you run into this issue and you got to pull out the whole shaft, you have to undo the bottom bolt for the shock so that the shaft will come out. Alright, and then I just have the knuckle supported on a bucket still attached. Oh. Alright guys, so what we have here is the new seal. This you can always tell, usually you can tell pretty easy. A lot of the newer seals have this rubber. It's more of like a rubber kind of stepped inner part. And that will go into the axle. You want the rubber part on the inside and just this floppy part on the outside. That's going to attempt to stop moisture from getting in. And to install it, you want to find a socket, or, well, if you have a bearing installer set or something, it might have an adapter of the right size, but I usually just grab a socket that's, you know, pretty much the exact same size, and then I can tap on that with a hammer to install it. So usually what I do is I take the seal, I'll try and push it into the housing, differential housing, just enough, like just kind of push it so it's snug and even on all sides. You don't want to start it on an angle and then you start punching it in and it's going to get all distorted. So I just usually try and get it started straight and then start tapping it. You don't have to hammer on it, you just start tapping it lightly, watching it go in, make sure it goes in straight. And of course clean off the inside of the housing a bit with a rag, or if it's really rusty or something you might need some emery cloth or something like that. But otherwise that's pretty much it. The hardest part of the whole job is getting the CV axle out if it's rusted in there. So I'll show you, I'll try to take some video of the reinstallation as well. Okay guys, so that's what it looks like installed. Again, all I did was started it in by hand, just so it was grabbing basically and straight, and then put the socket over straight, and then you get your hammer back there somehow and start tapping on it lightly. And then you basically want it so that this is pretty as flush as you can get it. Basically it goes pretty well flush. There'll be a little bit of a lip, but that's just the thickness of the lip itself butting up against the housing. Alright, you can see I didn't damage any of this. I didn't even disturb that grease in there. That grease is there so that when you install the axle, it doesn't, you know, wreck the rubber, basically to seal it all. Alright, so we'll take the seal, let's just slide it right through here, and get it to engage the clip in the inside. It shouldn't be too hard, and then start putting everything back together.